Where are we? People don't understand.
All right, so this is and once again, good evening. This is a private member's bill. And so, because it's not being sponsored by the president or on his behalf by a minister of state, and this is basically taking cognizance of or advantage of Article 180 of the Constitution, the private member's bill. What this would do is that it cannot impose cost on the state. And so when we finished our draft, we submitted it to the Speaker. After handing it over to the Speaker referred it to his legal unit to ensure that it complied with Article 180 of the Constitution. After getting that compliance from his legal department, he signed a warrant of gazette, which allowed us to go to the government press, assembly press, to get it gazetted. It will take 14 parliamentary sitting days. Looking at the dates and timelines, that should bring us somewhere in the region of the end of the first week of August. Once that comes back to Parliament, it's going to be taken through the Business Committee for the motion to be moved on the floor of the House. When the motion is moved on the floor of the House, we will then be in a position to have a referral to the appropriate committee. Mr. Speaker may choose to make it a joint committee, but at this point, we know that it will go to the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee.
Are you on that committee?
No, I am not a member of that committee. However, I will be joining the deliberations of that committee as a sponsor of the bill and as a friend of that committee. And so we would sit through, and our preference as sponsors of the bill is to have public memoranda submitted. I call for public memoranda, so anybody who has some contribution to make to the bill, amendments or whatever, can bring them by way of memos to Parliament. The committee will review them. It will go through the winnowing process to narrow down on what are the critical amendments that align with the object of the bill, and this will then be filed, and we'll take it through the 3 consideration stages. Well, by the time it goes to the committee, it would have gone through the first stage. The second stage will be where the real debates will happen. We'll take the clause by clause consideration when we pick. There are 25 clauses in the bill. So when you pick clause 1, if there are amendments, if there are 20 amendments to it, we go amendment 1 by 1.
Who will be recommending these amendments? A committee?
Members of Parliament will have to be the ones to file. So if you bring in a memo and the committee deems it worthy of consideration by the House, a member of the committee will have that amendment stand in his name on the floor of the House. Now, when that comes, we will debate it in the plenary.
Debate and vote?
Yes, there'll be a voice vote put on every amendment. So take, for example, if there are 10 amendments to, say, Section 6 or Clause 6.
Say the controversial one, which is the punishment regime.
Clause 6 is actually the offenses.
The offenses.
The offenses in there. So let's assume that there are 20 amendments to it. On each of the 20 amendments, the amendment will be read out. The proposer would give his argument for it. If we, as the sponsors, are okay with the argument, we will put up no defense to it. The Speaker or the person presiding will put the question, a voice vote, and then we move to the next amendment. If we are not satisfied with the amendment as sponsors of the bill, or any other member of Parliament is not satisfied with the amendment, we'll put an argument to counter the amendment. The debate will go on for a while, and the Speaker will put the question. When the question is put, he will listen to a voice vote. If anybody is not happy with the decision of the Speaker on the voice vote, you can ask for a head count, okay, which is an open vote where those in favor show by your hand, and that will be carried. And then if you're still not satisfied by that and you want to vote by division, you can make the request for a vote by division, which will be, or from the voice vote, you can either call for a vote by division or a head count. And so that's basically where, but that will happen for each and every clause.
So we have a long way to go, maybe.
That's why the winnowing committee is going to look at working on it so that you don't have an unnecessary delay of the or abuse of the system.
Is the committee a public hearing committee? Does it a public hearing?
They don't sit in public, but then they would. That's why they're going to open up. Well, I don't know. It'll be up to the committee to decide whether they want to sit in. They want to get the.
But the appointments committee sits in public. So.
Yeah, there are only a few committees in Parliament that sit in public. Appointments committee, public accounts committee. Literally, those are the 2 committees. And then
so if we want to film the.
You would need to
live coverage of the proceedings?
I know that if you look at the standing orders of Parliament, if the committees that do not sit in camera, if you want to come in there, you need to get the express permission of the chairman of the committee. So if the chairman of the committee so decides that he wants the media in there, but the question is, really, the committee hearings the committee sittings may not necessarily make much for TV, because it's going to be submission of memorandums, except they want oral presentation.
Yeah, but if I submit a memoranda, will the committee not ask me to come and back it?
Well, your memoranda is going to be self-explanatory.
Okay.
It's just like the vetting appointments committee. You submit memoranda to the committee. You hardly appear before the committee.
If I'm making allegations against some judge.
Well, you can't be making allegations against some judge reference to this bill, because this bill is not about some judge.
Okay.
Okay. So your memo must be relative to the subject or object of the bill, and that's why the winnowing committee is going to separate the wheat from the chaff and ensure that it is only important or amendments that meet the threshold for the consideration of Parliament. Because at the end of the day, you don't want people to abuse the process and try to filibuster the whole process, to delay it unnecessarily. So you have 100 amendments to one clause and it will drag it unnecessarily, and those amendments are repetitive or actually do not add any substance to it. So that will be done. What I would want to suggest to the media, and I've made this call to many media houses and they've expressed their interest, is that the second consideration stage, where the amendments will be debated, because second reading, the amendments will not be debated at the committee level.
Oh, they would not be debated there?
It's going to be debated at the plenary. The committee would have its consideration of the memos.
So the committee will receive the amendments?
Receive the memos, and then they would deliberate on it and file their reports with the amendments to the plenary. Okay, now it is at the plenary that the debate will happen on the amendments. So that is where I want to urge every media house, and that's the open gallery. Metro, for example, is already accredited to Parliament. You have cameras there. The question is, would you carry it live? My appeal is that you should carry it live. This is a major national issue.
I think that the speaker should probably do that debate in the evening, starting at television time, 8 p.m. So we are all live, 8 to 11 for 5 days. We are all live. Every TV station is live. Everybody is at home. Then we can see which MP is saying what and which MP is not saying what.
It will be
no place to hide.
It will be important.
So maybe we should consider that. How does the president come in this process?
Well, as a private member's bill, when we go through the 3 stages, after we've gone through the 3 stages and then finally the bill is passed, Parliament has passed the bill. But then for the bill to become effective, you then need a presidential assent of the president. The president normally would either wait, especially if it's a private member's bill, he may seek legal opinion of his attorney general. I'm sure that that's something that would already have started, because this bill is in the public domain. But then the president would then grant his assent upon the advice of his chief legal advisor. If the president decides not to assent to the bill, it doesn't end there. Parliament can take matters into our own hands. We are masters of our own proceedings. With 2/3 of members of Parliament, we will not need a presidential assent. We will pass it into law and it will become effective if 2/3 of the members of Parliament...
So even if it goes to the president with a unanimous passage,
yes,
and the president does not assent, it will still have to come back
to
get
it goes,
the 2/3.
Yes, so if it goes to him and he doesn't assent, which I doubt will be the case, I believe the president will assent to this bill, it will come back to us. A motion will be moved to trigger the powers of Parliament to pass it.
If Parliament is not able to pass by 2/3, the bill fails at that stage?
Yes, then it means it means the bill has been passed by Parliament, but it's not effective law that can be used. But I am very confident that we'll get more than 2/3.
I just want people to understand the process. So what if the president returns the bill with comments? He doesn't assent to it, but he asks for an amendment of clause this, he asks for a relook at clause that, he asks Parliament to postpone
as far as I am aware, once Parliament is done passing its
he can't ask for amendment.
And that's why the Attorney General has audience before Parliament. And so during the consideration stage, if the government feels strongly about any of the clauses, they can sponsor an amendment and they can come in there and argue the amendment.
But the Attorney General is not a member. This Attorney General is not a member of Parliament.
It doesn't matter, but the Attorney General is the Minister of State. Ministers of State have audience before Parliament.
And they can sponsor an amendment to a bill.
He can get the bill, the amendment sponsored through a member of government who is a member of Parliament. You get it. So
will he be heard on the floor in this?
Oh yes, he will.
The Attorney General will be heard.
Oh, obviously, when we did the company, the new companies code, the former Attorney General, Gloria was present, and there were times when she made some arguments. But most times, what they will do when it's a government bill that's coming from the Attorney General like that one is they leave most of the arguments to the chairman of the legal and constitutional, who is a member of government, who is a member of parliament, to lead government's argument. But as and when there is the need for the Attorney General to step in, they always, I mean, they have audience before the House. Ministers of state have audience before the House. Do you get
the sense that, and quickly get ready, I want you to tell us the divisions in the bill, the one you sent to me. What are the various aspects? You have that, get ready. Do you get the sense that majority of members of parliament are in favor of this?
I believe so.
Were you expecting the kind of backlash that you are getting, however minimal or however big? Were you expecting that?
Certainly. In fact, what I've gotten is less than what we anticipated.
Really?
The LGBTQ community is a very well-resourced propaganda machinery. Very well-resourced. And so we're expecting a certain level of pushback.
Maybe they haven't finished.
Well, we're also well prepared.
This UK MP that you interacted with, have you met him?
Never.
I see. And he spoke to you on Twitter. He was concerned about love.
Yeah, but like I said to him, the love is in the common sense.
I see. Okay. I want us to talk about polygamy, but we'll come to that after. What do you have? What are the divisions in the bill?
Okay, so we looked at the main themes that if you read the whole bill, the main themes that could be gleaned. And they were, one, to criminalize acts concerned with engaging and promotion of LGBTQ issues, as well as
engaging and promotion of LGBT. Yes. That's in section what?
And association. That's mainly section 6. Okay. What spoke about the criminalizing, that's the blankets.
Yeah.
That's what we all know. And then there are other things such as to ban any group that advocates for or offers protection to any person who falls within these brackets. The brackets is provided for in section 1, so lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, pansexual, all the categories provided for in section 1. And so the sections regarding the ban of the advocacy, section 12, 15, and 16. There's also protection of victims of such prohibited sexual offenses. So in case persons fall victims or fall prey to individuals who force them without their consent, there's protection for them in section 19. As well as the prohibition of extrajudicial treatments in section 22. This restricts any person who treats another he or she believes or suspects or feels falls within this bracket in a manner not prescribed in the Act or any other law of the Republic. So it ensures that persons do not take the law into their own hands and maltreat others. This is provided for in section 22 of the Act. Okay. So even though the other provisions are the 4 main broad categories, that's the provisions for that.